I learned to be invisible at 17. The summer my mother stopped coming home and the electricity got shut off for the third time. You develop a specific kind of stillness when you're poor. Not the peaceful kind, but the predatory kind. Like a rabbit that knows the hawk is circling. You make yourself small, unremarkable, forgettable. By 23, I'd perfected it. The Marchetti estate was a masterpiece of old money and new blood. Marble imported from Italy, chandeliers that cost more than my childhood home, and silence so thick you could drown in it. I'd been cleaning there for 8 months. 8 months of keeping my blonde hair in a tight bun, my eyes on the floor, my existence reduced to the swish of a mop and the chemical smell of bleach. The staff didn't talk to me. The guards looked through me. Vincent Marchetti himself had walked past me dozens of times without a single glance. That was the deal I'd made with survival. Be nothing, and maybe nothing bad will happen to you. I should have known better. It was 2 a.m. when everything shattered. I was in the kitchen, massive, restaurant-grade, all stainless steel and cold white tile, scrubbing the grout between countertops because Mrs. Chen, the head housekeeper, said she could still see a stain. My knees ached. My hands were raw. But this job paid 3 times what the diner did, and Emma always needed something. Surgery this time. $47,000 I didn't have. You will feel so many emotions in this mysterious love story I'm about to tell. Please support us by clicking subscribe to the channel. I heard him before I saw him. Marco, Vincent's second-in-command, all swagger and cologne that couldn't quite mask the smell of bourbon. He'd been watching me for weeks. I felt it the way you feel weather changing, pressure dropping before a storm. Working late, he said, his voice sliding through the kitchen like oil. I didn't look up, just finishing. You're always finishing. Always here. Always available. The word hung in the air. Rotting. I stood slowly, gripping the sponge like it could protect me. Marco was blocking the doorway. 6'2", broad-shouldered, with eyes that stripped you down to meat and potential. He smiled. I stopped breathing. Mr. Marchetti doesn't like staff working unsupervised, I said, my voice steadier than my hands. Mr. Marchetti is occupied. He moved closer. I moved back. My spine hit the counter. Marco's hand shot out and grabbed my wrist, not hard enough to bruise, but hard enough to remind me how easily he could. His breath was hot against my ear, words I won't repeat, promises that made my stomach turn to acid. I froze, not from fear exactly, but from the terrible mathematics of powerlessness. If I screamed, who would come? If I fought, what would I lose? The job, the money, Emma's surgery. So I did what I'd always done. I endured. I went still. I waited for it to be over. Then the temperature in the room dropped. Silence has a texture when a dangerous man enters a space. It's not the absence of sound. It's the presence of something else. Gravity, weight, the feeling that every molecule of air is holding its breath. Vincent Marchetti stood in the doorway. I'd seen him before, of course. Glimpses as he strode through the estate in custom suits, phone pressed to his ear, trailing an entourage of men who looked like they'd kill for him without asking why. He was handsome in that brutal way that made you think of Roman emperors and Renaissance paintings. All sharp angles and dark eyes, black hair swept back, a face that revealed nothing and promised everything. But I'd never seen him look at me. Not really. Not the way he was looking at me now. His gaze dropped to Marco's hand on my wrist. Something flickered across his face. There and gone so fast I might have imagined it. His expression went perfectly blank. That's when I knew someone was about to die. Mr. Marchetti, Marco said, releasing my wrist like it burned him. I was just... Don't... One word. Soft as a coffin closing. Vincent crossed the kitchen in 3 strides. He didn't rush, didn't need to. He moved with the inevitability of a storm front, and Marco, stupid, drunk, arrogant Marco, finally understood what I'd known for 8 months. Vincent Marchetti wasn't just dangerous because he had power. He was dangerous because he was power, distilled into flesh and bone and cold, calculating intelligence. He stopped inches from Marco, looked at him the way you'd look at a cockroach. Then his eyes shifted to me, and I felt the full weight of his attention for the first time. It was like being seen through an X-ray machine, invasive, clinical, thorough. He was cataloging everything, the raw skin on my hands, the exhaustion bruised beneath my eyes, The way I was still pressed against the counter, still half frozen in that horrible mathematics of survival. "She doesn't belong to you," Vincent said, his voice barely above a whisper. The words landed like a verdict. Marco's face drained of color. He started to speak, some excuse, some explanation, but Vincent raised one hand and Marco's mouth snapped shut. "If I see your hands on her again," Vincent continued, still in that terrible soft voice, "you'll lose them. Slowly. Do you understand?" "Yes, sir. Get out." Marco fled, actually fled, like a child from a nightmare. The kitchen door swung shut behind him, and then it was just me and Vincent and the smell of bleach and fear. I should have thanked him, should have said something, but my tongue was lead in my mouth, and my heart was hammering so hard I thought he must hear it. He was still looking at me, still cataloging, still thinking thoughts I couldn't read. "What's your name?" he asked. "Lily," I managed. "Lily Chen." Something passed behind his eyes. "You've been working here 8 months. It wasn't a question. He knew. Of course he knew. Vincent Marchetti knew everything that happened in his world. "Yes, sir." "And you never reported Marco's behavior." My throat closed. Because how do you explain to a man like Vincent Marchetti that reporting anything would mean losing everything? That survival sometimes looks like silence. "I needed the job," I said finally. He tilted his head slightly, studying me like I was a puzzle he hadn't solved yet. Then he did something that stopped my heart. He reached out, slowly, giving me time to flinch away, and lifted my chin with one finger. His touch was surprisingly gentle. His eyes weren't. "You don't need to be invisible anymore," he said quietly. "I see you." I didn't understand what he meant. Not then. Not until much later, when invisible was the one thing I desperately wanted to be again. He dropped his hand and stepped back. The air rushed into my lungs. He walked to the door, and I thought that was it. Crisis averted. Back to scrubbing grout and pretending tonight never happened. But he paused at the threshold and looked back at me over his shoulder. "From now on, no one touches you," he said. "Not without my permission." The words wrapped around me like chains. Like protection? Like both. Then he was gone, and I was alone in the kitchen with my racing heart and the terrible certainty that everything had just changed in ways I couldn't yet comprehend. I looked down at my wrist. No bruise. Marco hadn't held me long enough, but I could still feel the ghost of his grip, and beneath it, stronger, more dangerous, the ghost of Vincent's finger under my chin. "I see you." I pressed my palm against my chest, trying to slow my heartbeat, trying to understand why those 3 words felt more threatening than anything Marco had done. Because being invisible kept you safe. Being seen by Vincent Marchetti? That was something else entirely. I didn't sleep that night. Couldn't. Every time I closed my eyes, I felt Vincent's finger beneath my chin. Heard those 3 words echoing through my skull like a prophecy I didn't know how to interpret. "I see you." By dawn, I'd convinced myself it meant nothing. A powerful man defending his property, that's all I was, really. Another possession in his collection of expensive things. He'd protected me the way you'd protect a valuable painting from being damaged. Impersonal, transactional, safe. I was so desperately wrong. The man appeared at 7 a.m., standing outside my studio apartment like a monument to bad news. Black suit, black car, expressionless face. I was halfway out the door, rushing to my morning shift at the diner, when he stepped into my path. "Miss Chen," he said, his voice flat as a tombstone. "Mr. Marchetti sent a car." I stared at him. At the gleaming black Mercedes idling at the curb. At the other pedestrians flowing around us like water around stones, pretending not to notice what was obviously a very expensive problem. "I have work," I said. "Mr. Marchetti has made arrangements. Your shift has been covered." Something cold slithered down my spine. I didn't ask him to. Nevertheless, the word hung between us, heavy with implication. This wasn't a request. This was how my life worked now, apparently. Vincent Marchetti had decided something, and the universe rearranged itself to accommodate him. I got in the car. By the end of the week, I understood the architecture of my new existence. A driver appeared every morning. An escort, they called him that, like I was someone who needed escorting, followed me to the diner, to the estate, back to my apartment. My schedule became transparent, every movement documented, every deviation noted. Vincent called it protection. I called it suffocation with leather seats and tinted windows. I tried to refuse, tried to reclaim the small, struggling independence I'd built from minimum wage jobs and sheer stubborn will. But reality intervened the way it always does, with a phone call I'd been dreading for months. "Miss Chen, this is St. Mary's Hospital. We need to discuss your sister's surgery timeline. Emma, 16 years old, born with a heart defect that grew worse every year. The surgery she needed cost $47,000. I had $800 in my savings account and a credit score that made loan officers laugh. We can schedule her for next month," the administrator continued, her voice professionally sympathetic. "But we'll need confirmation of payment arrangements within 72 hours. I sat on my apartment floor after that call, back against the wall, staring at the water stain on the ceiling that looked like a map of nowhere. I'd been working 3 jobs for 2 years, saving every penny, and I wasn't even close. Emma would die because I couldn't conjure money from air, because the universe didn't care how hard you worked or how much you loved someone. My phone buzzed. A text from an unknown number. "My office, tonight, V." I should have ignored it. Should have understood that accepting help from Vincent Marchetti meant accepting chains disguised as charity. But desperation makes you stupid, and love makes you desperate. I went. His office occupied the entire 3rd floor of the estate's east wing. All dark wood and darker promises. Floor-to-ceiling windows overlooking grounds that stretched into shadows. Vincent sat behind a desk that probably cost more than my entire life, reading something on his laptop. He didn't look up when I entered. "Sit," he said. I sat. The leather chair was butter soft and probably Italian. I hated how comfortable it was. He closed the laptop with a soft click. Looked at me. In the lamplight, his eyes were almost black, unreadable as deep water. "Your sister needs surgery," he said, not a question. A statement of fact he'd somehow acquired. My throat closed. "That's not your concern. Everything about you is my concern now." The words landed like a physical thing. I felt them in my chest, pushing against my ribs. "I don't need charity," I said, hating how my voice shook. "Good. I'm not offering charity." He opened a drawer, pulled out papers, slid them across the desk. I didn't want to look. Looked anyway. A contract. Terms and conditions typed in neat, merciless rows. "I'll pay for the surgery," Vincent said, his voice calm as a judge reading a sentence. "All of it, plus her follow-up cares, medications, anything she needs." I stopped breathing. "Why? In return, you move into the estate. Full-time. No more diner shifts, no more studio apartment. You work exclusively for me." "As what?" My voice came out wrong, sharp with suspicion and something else I didn't want to name. He leaned back in his chair, studying me with that unnerving intensity. "As staff, you'll have your own suite in the East Wing, increased salary. Emma can visit whenever she wants. You'll be safe here." "Safe from what?" "From whatever made Marco think he could touch you," he said quietly. "From the people who sent him." The words didn't make sense. Marco was drunk and stupid and thought he could do whatever he wanted because I was nobody. That's all. Wasn't it? Vincent must have seen the confusion on my face. He opened his laptop again, turned it toward me. Security footage filled the screen. The estate, various angles, timestamps from the past 3 months. He clicked through them, there and there and there. Marco, always Marco. But not watching me with simple lust. Watching me with purpose. Taking photos on his phone. Making calls immediately after. "Marco was paid to target you," Vincent said. $20,000 transferred to his account 6 weeks ago from an encrypted source. He was supposed to compromise you, document it, use it as leverage. My stomach turned to ice. Leverage for what? That's what I'm going to find out. He closed the laptop, stood, walked to the windows, hands in his pockets, silhouetted against the night. For a long moment, he said nothing. Then, "You have 72 hours to decide about the surgery. This offer expires with that deadline. But understand something, Lily, you're already in danger. The only question is whether you face it alone or accept my protection." I wanted to scream. Wanted to tell him I wasn't for sale, that my sister's life wasn't a bargaining chip, that I'd find another way. But there was no other way. There never had been. I signed. My hand shook so badly I could barely write my name, but I signed. Sold my independence for my sister's heartbeat. Made a deal with a devil who wore Armani and spoke in measured tones and looked at me like I was a puzzle he intended to solve. Vincent took the papers. Didn't smile, didn't gloat. Just nodded once, precise as a contract being notarized. Emma's surgery is scheduled for Monday. I've already spoken with her doctors. You can move in tomorrow. Someone will collect your things. I can pack my own. Tomorrow, he repeated, and the word was final as a door closing. I left his office feeling like I'd stepped off a cliff, like gravity had just grabbed hold and I was falling into something I didn't understand. I made it halfway back to my apartment before I noticed the black envelope wedged under my windshield wiper. My hands shook as I opened it. Inside, a single photograph. Me, leaving St. Mary's Hospital last week, hand pressed to my mouth, face streaked with tears from the conversation about Emma's declining condition. The photo was high quality, professional. Someone had been following me, watching, documenting. Across the bottom, in red marker, 3 words that stopped my heart. We see you. I dropped the envelope. Scrambled for my phone. Vincent answered before the first ring finished. What happened? He said. Not a question, a command. Someone left a photo. They've been following me. Vincent. I know. That's why you're moving in tomorrow. That's why you're not going back to your apartment tonight. Where am I supposed to? The car is already outside your building. Get in. Now. The line went dead. I looked up. The black Mercedes was there, door open, the expressionless man waiting. I got in because what else could I do? The door closed with the soft, expensive sound of a cage locking. My phone buzzed one last time as we pulled away from the curb. Another text from Vincent. You weren't random, Lily. You were chosen as a message. I stared at the words until they blurred. Tried to understand what message I was supposed to be, who I was supposed to be sending it to. But all I could think was, I'd just traded one kind of danger for another, and I had no idea which was worse. The East Wing suite was a cage made of silk and mahogany, bigger than my entire apartment. King-sized bed with sheets that probably cost more than my monthly rent. Bathroom with marble countertops and a shower that could fit 4 people. Windows overlooking the estate grounds, stretching into darkness like an ocean I couldn't cross. I didn't sleep in the bed that first night. Couldn't. Instead, I sat on the floor with my back against the wall, knees pulled to my chest, watching the door, waiting for it to open, for someone to come collect the debt I'd just incurred. But no one came. Dawn arrived gray and cold through the windows. I'd been in Vincent's world for 6 hours, and already I understood the rules were different here. Not worse, necessarily. Just operating according to a logic I didn't yet speak. The first week taught me the vocabulary. Late-night meetings in soundproofed rooms where men in expensive suits discussed things that made them check the hallway before speaking. The metallic scent that lingered after certain visitors left. Not blood exactly, but something adjacent to it. Something that made my hindbrain scream danger. Vincent's footsteps in the hallway at odd hours, always pausing near my door for exactly 3 seconds before continuing to his own suite. Never entering. Always leaving me wondering why he stopped at all. I learned to read the estate's moods. The particular quality of silence that meant someone had displeased Vincent. The way the guards' postures changed when certain cars pulled up the drive. The difference between normal tension and the kind that preceded violence. Mrs. Chen, the head housekeeper, watched me with something between pity and resignation. She was the one who finally explained what I'd been too naive to understand. You're not staff anymore, she said, folding linens with mechanical precision. You're something else. Something he's claimed. The sooner you accept that, the easier this will be. I'm just here until Emma's surgery. No, sweetheart. You're here until he decides you're not. She walked away before I could argue. Left me standing in the laundry room with the truth settling into my bones like winter cold. Everything fractured on a Tuesday. I'd been at the estate for 8 days. Emma's surgery was scheduled for the next morning. I'd spoken to her doctor, confirmed everything was arranged, felt the first fragile flutter of hope in my chest. Maybe this would work. Maybe I could survive Vincent's protection long enough to save my sister and then... What? Figure that out later. The universe laughed at my optimism. It started with a phone call. Vincent's assistant, A severe woman named Margaret, who looked like she'd been born holding a clipboard, appeared at my door at 3 p.m. "Mr. Marchetti needs you to accompany him to a meeting," she said. I don't attend meetings." "You do now." The car ride took 40 minutes. Vincent sat across from me in the back of the Mercedes, working on his phone, not speaking. I watched the city slide past the tinted windows, familiar streets becoming unfamiliar, neighborhoods I didn't recognize, industrial areas where buildings slouched against each other like drunks. "Where are we going?" I finally asked. "St. Mary's Hospital. Emma's surgical team wants to discuss pre-op protocols." Relief flooded through me. Of course, that made sense. I should have been notified directly, but maybe they'd called Vincent since he was paying. I settled back against the leather seat, let myself believe everything was normal. The van took a wrong turn. Not the hospital entrance, a side street, then another. Vincent's head snapped up from his phone. His hand moved to his waistband, where I now realized he kept a gun. And his voice when he spoke to the driver was blade sharp. "This isn't the route." "New instructions," the driver said. Everything happened fast and slow simultaneously. Vincent's hand on my arm, pulling me down. The sound of tires squealing, his body covering mine as the van lurched to a stop. Then doors opening, hands grabbing, zip ties cutting into my wrists before I could process what was happening. 3 men in masks, industrial district, abandoned warehouse with broken windows and the smell of rust and old fear. They zip-tied me to a metal chair. Didn't speak, didn't explain. Just positioned me under a flickering light and stepped back, waiting. "She's the message," one of them said into a phone. The words didn't make sense. I was nobody. A maid. A girl trying to save her sister. What message could I possibly send? Then I understood. I wasn't the message. I was the envelope. And whatever Vincent had done, whoever he'd crossed, they were using me to deliver their reply. Time stopped having meaning. Could have been an hour. Could have been 3. The men didn't touch me, didn't hurt me. That was almost worse. The anticipation, the knowledge that this was just the setup for something terrible. When Vincent arrived, it was like watching a storm made flesh. No dramatic entrance, no shouting. He simply appeared in the warehouse doorway, and the temperature dropped 10 degrees. 2 of the masked men moved toward him. Neither made it more than 3 steps. I didn't see what he did, couldn't track the movements. Too fast, too brutal, but suddenly both men were on the ground and Vincent was walking toward me, methodical as a surgeon. The 3rd man pulled a gun. Vincent didn't even look at him, just kept walking. The shot went wide, the man's hand shaking too badly to aim. Vincent reached him, took the gun away like confiscating a toy from a child, and did something with his wrist that made a sound like kindling snapping. Then it was just us. Me zip-tied to the chair, trembling so hard my teeth chattered. Vincent kneeling in front of me, producing a knife from somewhere, cutting through the plastic restraints with surprising gentleness. "Look at me," he said, his voice softer than I'd ever heard it. I couldn't do anything but shake. "Lily, look at me." His hand cupped my face, thumb brushing my cheekbone, forcing my eyes to meet his. There was something in his expression I didn't expect. Not anger, not calculation. Something rawer, more honest. "You're safe," he said. "I've got you." The words broke something in me. I folded forward, forehead against his shoulder, and for one moment, one breath, let myself believe him. He carried me to his car. Actual carried, like I weighed nothing, like I was something precious that might shatter. Wrapped me in his jacket that smelled like expensive cologne and gunpowder. Held me in the back seat while his driver navigated back toward civilization, one hand on my shoulder, steady as an anchor. "Why do you care?" I finally whispered. He was quiet for so long I thought he wouldn't answer. When he did, his words were measured, revealing everything and nothing. "Because when I look at you, I see someone worth keeping alive. Not someone I want to keep alive. Someone worth it. Like my value was objective, quantifiable. A fact he'd calculated and confirmed. That night, he showed me his world. Not to frighten me, though I was frightened, but to prepare me. The vault in the basement with enough cash to buy a small country. The surveillance room with 50 screens showing every angle of the estate, every approach, every potential threat. The arsenal that would make a small military jealous, Knowledge is armor, he said, watching me take it in. You need to understand what you're a part of now. I'm not part of anything. You're mine, he interrupted, voice flat. The moment I said no one touches you, I made you mine. Everyone in my world understands that. And everyone in my world has enemies. The possessive should have terrified me. Should have made me run. But there was something in the way he said it. Not ownership exactly, but responsibility. Like he'd assigned himself as guardian and would die before breaking that oath. We stood in his study afterward, rain streaking the windows. Neither of us quite ready to acknowledge what had happened. I was still wearing his jacket, still trembling slightly, adrenaline crash making my muscles weak. You should be afraid of me, Vincent said quietly, not looking at me. Why aren't you? I thought about it. About Marco's hands on my wrist and the calculated cruelty in his eyes. About the masked men in the warehouse and the casual way they'd discussed using me as a message. About Vincent kneeling in front of my chair, cutting me free, voice gentler than I'd known it could be. Because you're the only person who's kept their promises, I said. His head turned. Our eyes met. Something passed between us in that moment. Fragile, dangerous, real. He took one step toward me. I didn't step back. His hand lifted, hovering near my face like he wanted to touch but wasn't sure he should. The moment stretched. Broke. He dropped his hand, stepped back, put the safe distance between us again. Get some rest, he said. Emma's surgery is in 6 hours. I left his study on shaking legs, made it back to my suite and locked the door, collapsed on the floor, still couldn't use the bed, and finally let myself cry. Not from fear, from the terrible understanding that Vincent Marchetti was becoming necessary to me. That his protection didn't feel like a cage anymore. It felt like the only safe place in the world. I didn't notice the folder until I stood to finally crawl into bed. Someone had slipped it under my door while I was with Vincent. My hand shook as I opened it. Surveillance photos. Dozens of them. Me leaving my apartment. Me at the diner. Me walking through the park where I sometimes sat to think. Me at the hospital visiting Emma. Me everywhere, all the time, for months. The photos were dated. The earliest, 6 months ago, 3 months before I'd even applied to work at the Marchetti estate. Someone had been watching me, documenting me, building a file on me before I'd ever crossed paths with Vincent, clipped to the front of the folder, a note in handwriting I didn't recognize. Thick black ink, precise letters. She was always the target. D. My legs gave out. I sat on the floor, staring at the evidence that my entire life had been orchestrated by someone I didn't know, for reasons I couldn't fathom. That everything I'd thought was choice had been illusion, that I'd never been invisible at all. I didn't sleep. How could I? The surveillance photos were spread across my floor like a timeline of my own life. A life I'd thought was mine, but apparently belonged to someone else's plan. Someone named D. At dawn, I gathered every photo, every document, shoved them back into the folder with shaking hands. My fear had calcified into something harder overnight. Something that felt almost like rage. Vincent Marchetti had answers, and I was done being the girl who asked politely. I found him in his office at 6 a.m., still wearing yesterday's clothes, tie loosened, tumbler of whiskey catching the early light. He looked up when I entered without knocking, and something flickered across his face, surprise maybe, that I'd finally stopped being afraid of him. I threw the folder onto his desk, photos scattered across the mahogany surface. You've been watching me for 6 months, I said, my voice steady despite the adrenaline screaming through my veins. Before I worked here, before everything. Explain it. He looked at the photos, back at me, set down his whiskey with careful precision. Yes, he said simply. I have. The admission landed like a physical blow. I'd expected denials, explanations, something to soften the betrayal. Instead, confirmation, clinical, unapologetic. Why? Vincent leaned back in his chair, studying me with those dark, unreadable eyes. Rain streaked the windows behind him, turning the world outside into watercolor. Inside, the silence was absolute. Someone put a target on you long before you knew my name, he said finally. 6 months ago, a file appeared on the dark web. Your photo, your address, your sister's medical records, your work schedule. Someone was selling information about you. Bidding started at $50,000. My knees went liquid. I grabbed the edge of his desk to stay upright. I bought the file, Vincent continued. Paid 3 times the asking price to ensure no one else got it. Then I started investigating. Who you were. Why someone wanted you. What you'd done to earn that kind of attention. I haven't done anything, I whispered. I know. That's what made it interesting. He stood, walked to the windows, hands in his pockets. His silhouette against the gray morning looked almost vulnerable. A trick of light, probably. Vincent Marchetti didn't do vulnerable. You were nobody, he said, not unkindly. A girl working 3 jobs to save her sister. No criminal record, no connections to organized crime, no reason anyone should care. You existed. But someone did. Someone cared enough to build a comprehensive file and auction it to the highest bidder. So I needed to understand why. That's why you were at the estate that night. The night with Marco. I came to your work to observe you myself, to see what I'd bought. The words should have made me angry. Should have reinforced every instinct that said Vincent Marchetti was dangerous, controlling, someone who saw people as assets to acquire. But underneath the clinical language, I heard something else. The same thing I'd heard in the warehouse when he'd knelt before me and said, I've got you. Protection. Brutal. Invasive. Terrifying protection. But protection nonetheless. The note, I said, picking up the paper clipped to the folder. It says I was always the target. Who's D? Vincent's jaw tightened. The first crack in his composure. That's what we're going to find out. The we landed between us, heavy with implication. Not you and your men. Not I'll handle it. We. Like I was suddenly a partner in this. Not just a problem to be managed. I moved closer to the desk, forcing him to look at me. No more secrets, I said. If I'm staying here, if I'm accepting your protection, then you tell me everything. The truth, all of it. About why I'm here, who's targeting me, and what you're not saying. That's not how this works. Then make it work differently. We stared at each other. The air between us crackled with something electric, dangerous. Vincent's expression was unreadable, but his hands had come out of his pockets, one resting on the desk between us like he was physically restraining himself. You want rules? He said finally, his voice low. Fine, 3 rules, non-negotiable. I'm listening. 1. You don't leave the estate without protection, ever. I don't care if you're going to the mailbox. Someone escorts you. I wanted to argue. Didn't. Because yesterday I'd been zip-tied to a chair in a warehouse, and independence felt less important than survival. 2. You don't lie to me about threats. Someone contacts you, follows you, makes you uncomfortable. I know about it immediately. No exceptions. And 3. He paused. Something passed behind his eyes. Calculation, maybe? Or something softer that he immediately suppressed. 3. You trust me, completely. Even when you don't understand what I'm doing or why. You trust that everything I do is to keep you alive. The rules settled over me like a contract. Reasonable, on the surface. But beneath them, I felt the cage closing. Trust me completely. Give me all your autonomy. Let me make every decision. I have one rule, I said. Vincent's eyebrow lifted slightly. You're negotiating? You tell me the truth. All of it. About why I'm really here. No more surveillance files appearing under my door. No more revelations that rewrite my understanding of reality. You want me to trust you? Then trust me with the truth. He was quiet for so long I thought he'd refuse. Then he nodded once, precise as a signature. Your father, he said, and my world tilted. Thomas Chen. He worked as an accountant for several businesses in the city. Small operations, mostly legitimate. But 5 years ago, he took a contract with a man named Dominic Ross. The name meant nothing to me. My father had been sick for so long, dying slowly from cancer, that his work life had faded into irrelevance. He'd been a ghost in our apartment long before he actually died. Dominic ran a smuggling operation, Vincent continued. Weapons, mostly. Some drugs. Your father handled his books, kept everything clean on paper. But 3 years ago, your father got scared. The cancer was spreading. He knew he was dying, and he wanted to protect you and Emma. So he did something incredibly stupid and incredibly brave. Vincent pulled a file from his desk drawer, slid it toward me. I didn't want to open it. Opened it anyway. Financial records, emails, and at the bottom, an audio file labeled with my father's name and a date, 2 months before he died. He recorded everything, Vincent said quietly. Every transaction, every shipment, every name in Dominic's organization. Then he contacted the FBI and offered to testify, in exchange for immunity and protection for his daughters. My hands were shaking so hard the papers blurred. My father, quiet, sick, defeated. My father had been brave, had tried to save us. The FBI took the deal, but before your father could testify, he died. The cancer moved faster than anyone expected, so the testimony died with him. Not exactly. Your father was paranoid, rightfully so. He made copies of everything. Encrypted drives, hidden documentation, insurance policies in case Dominic came after his family. The problem is, no one knows where those copies are. Not the FBI, not Dominic, not me. Understanding crashed over me like cold water. They think I have them. They think you know where they are, or that you're leveraged to find them. Either way, you're valuable. You inherited his debt and his enemies. I sat down hard in the nearest chair. All those years scrubbing floors, working 3 jobs, keeping my head down, I'd thought I was building a life. Instead, I'd been running from a target I didn't know existed. My father had tried to protect us, and instead he'd painted bullseyes on our backs. This Dominic Ross, I said. He's the one who bought the file on me. I believe so. Though he's not bidding himself, he's too smart for that. He's using intermediaries, contractors. Marco was one of them. Marco, who'd grabbed me in the kitchen, who Vincent had warned with such cold precision. The pieces were clicking into place, forming a picture I didn't want to see. You knew, I said slowly. When you walked into that kitchen, when you saw Marco touch me, you knew what he was trying to do. I suspected. That's why I was there. You used me as bait. The words hung between us, sharp as accusations. Vincent's expression didn't change, but something shifted in his posture. A tightening, an acknowledgement. I protected you, he said. That's not the same thing. You let him get close enough to grab me. I was never more than 10 feet away. If Marco had tried anything more, he'd have been dead before he drew his next breath. The certainty in his voice should have comforted me. Instead, it illuminated the fundamental difference in how we saw the world. Vincent measured risk in acceptable casualties. I measured it in the feeling of Marco's hand on my wrist, the smell of his breath, the helplessness of being touched by someone who saw me as an object. I need air, I said, standing abruptly. Lily, just give me a minute. I walked to the windows, pressed my forehead against the cool glass. Outside, the estate grounds stretched into rain and mist. Somewhere beyond those trees, beyond the walls and cameras and armed guards, was the life I'd thought I was living. Simple, struggling, mine. That life was a lie. Had always been a lie. My father tried to do the right thing, I said, my breath fogging the glass, and it got him killed. It made me a target. It put Emma in danger. How is that fair? It's not. Vincent's voice came from directly behind me. I hadn't heard him move. His reflection appeared in the window beside mine. Dark suit, dark eyes, the rain outside making us both look like ghosts. Nothing about this is fair, he continued quietly. Your father made a choice. It was the wrong choice. Executed poorly, with tragic consequences. But he made it for the right reasons, to protect you. I understand that. It's the same reason I'm doing this. I turned to face him. We were close. Too close. I could smell his cologne, see the faint shadow of stubble on his jaw, the exhaustion bruised beneath his eyes. When had he last slept? Why? I asked. Why do you care? I'm nobody. You could have let Dominic have me, washed your hands of the whole thing. Instead, you bought my file, manipulated me into working here, tied yourself to a problem you didn't create. Why? The question had been building for days, since the kitchen, since the warehouse, since I'd watched him carry me to his car like I was something precious he couldn't bear to break. Vincent looked at me, really looked, the way he had that first night. And I saw it again. That crack in his armor, that glimpse of something human beneath the Mafia boss exterior. Because when I look at you, he said slowly, carefully, like each word cost something, I see someone who understands survival, who keeps fighting even when the universe tells her to give up, who works 3 jobs to save her sister and scrubs floors at 2 a.m. without complaining, who stood in my kitchen with Marco's hands on her and didn't cry, didn't beg, just endured. He paused, drew a breath. I didn't want to care about you, he admitted. It's a liability I can't afford. But you walked into my world 8 months ago, and you've been quietly brave every single day since. That kind of strength is rare. And when I saw someone trying to weaponize it, to use you as a message, to destroy you just to hurt people you've never met, I couldn't allow it. The confession settled between us, raw and honest. Vincent Marchetti, who calculated everything, who measured the world in assets and threats and acceptable losses, had made an illogical choice. Had chosen to protect me not because I was useful, but because he couldn't not. My hand lifted before I consciously decided to move, touched his arm. Just that, just contact. He went very still, like I was a wild thing that might startle. Thank you, I said, for telling me the truth. Our eyes held. His hand covered mine where it rested on his arm. The touch was careful, questioning. His thumb brushed across my knuckles, and I felt it everywhere, that simple contact igniting every nerve ending I possessed. We'll figure this out, he said quietly. Together. I promise. I believed him. God help me, I believed him. That night, I did something I hadn't done since moving into the estate. I slept in the bed. Not because it was comfortable, but because Vincent had given me the truth. And truth felt safer than any lock or guard or weapon. I woke at 3 a.m. to use the bathroom. On my way back, I noticed light beneath Vincent's door down the hall. Against every instinct of self-preservation, I knocked. Come in. He was at his desk, still dressed, working through files. He looked up when I entered, surprise flickering across his face. Can't sleep, he asked. Needed to see you were real, I admitted. That this conversation actually happened. A ghost of a smile touched his mouth. It happened. I should have left, gone back to my room. Instead, I crossed to his desk, looked at what he was working on. Files on Dominic Ross, maps, financial records. He was hunting the man who'd made me a target. You'll find him, I said with certainty I didn't quite feel. Yes. And when I do? When you do, you tell me. No revenge without my input. That's part of trusting each other, right? He considered this, nodded. Fair enough. I turned to leave. His voice stopped me at the door. Lily? You were brave today, demanding answers. Standing your ground. Most people are afraid to push me. Should I be afraid? Probably. But I'm not. I know, he said softly. That's what terrifies me. I left him there, working through the night to keep me safe. Went back to my room feeling something I hadn't felt in years. Not quite hope, not quite trust. Something between them. Something fragile and dangerous and entirely too real. The next morning, I found a name carved into my bathroom mirror in red lipstick. 6 letters that stopped my heart. Dominic Ross. My scream brought Vincent running. He stood in my bathroom doorway, gun drawn, scanning for threats. When he saw the mirror, his face went white. Actually white. I'd seen him cold, calculating, dangerous, never afraid. Until now. He was my mentor, Vincent said, his voice hollow. 15 years ago, when I was nobody. He taught me everything. How to read people, how to build power, how to survive in this world. And 3 years ago, when I learned what he really was, what he'd done, you tried to kill him. I thought I had. Put 2 bullets in his chest, watched him fall into the harbor, sent men to dredge the water. Never found a body, but the currents are strong there. I thought he was gone. Vincent holstered his gun, reached out like he might touch the lipstick message, then stopped himself. His hand was shaking. Actually shaking. If he's alive, Vincent said quietly, if he survived and he's been planning this for 3 years, he didn't finish, didn't need to. I understood the subtext. Dominic Ross wasn't just an enemy. He was Vincent's past, his teacher, his failure. And now he was using me to wound Vincent in ways no bullet could. "We end this," I said, echoing Vincent's promise from the night before. "Together." He looked at me. Something passed between us in that moment. Solidarity, maybe. Partnership. The understanding that we were in this now, completely, and the only way out was through. Vincent's phone buzzed. He answered without looking away from me. "What is it?" Whatever the voice on the other end said made Vincent's expression shift from fear to something colder, more focused. He hung up. "Dominic sent a message," he said. "He wants to meet. Says he has information about your father's files. Says if we don't come, he releases everything to the FBI, along with evidence that implicates you as your father's accomplice." My stomach dropped. I was 17 when my father died. I didn't know anything. Dominic doesn't care about truth. He cares about leverage. And right now, you're the best leverage he has against both the FBI and me. So what do we do? Vincent's eyes met mine. In them, I saw calculation, strategy, and beneath it all, something fierce and protective that made my breath catch. "We go meet him," Vincent said. "But first, I teach you how to survive if everything goes wrong." Vincent taught me how to die. Not literally, though the gun he pressed into my hands felt like a prophecy. He taught me angles and exit wounds, where to aim if I wanted someone to stop versus where to aim if I wanted them to never move again. The difference, he explained with clinical precision, was a matter of inches and intention. We stood in the estate's private range, deep in the basement where soundproofing swallowed every shot. My hands shook around the Glock's grip. Vincent stood behind me, close enough that I felt his breath against my hair, his hands guiding mine into position. "Breathe," he said quietly. "Fear makes you hesitate. Hesitation gets you killed." I pulled the trigger. The recoil jolted through my arms. The target's shoulder exploded. Off-center, non-lethal. Vincent's hands tightened over mine, adjusting. Again, center mass. Aim for what you can't miss. I fired until my ears rang despite the protection, until muscle memory replaced thought, until the fear calcified into something harder, something that felt almost like power. "Why are you really teaching me this?" I asked when we finally stopped, my hands aching, cordite sharp in my throat. "You have an army. I don't need to know how to shoot." Vincent ejected the magazine, cleared the chamber with practiced ease. When he looked at me, his expression was unreadable. "Because if Dominic gets to you, I need to know you'll fight back. That you won't just surrender." The unspoken hung between us. Like I almost did in the kitchen with Marco. Like I did in the warehouse before you came. "I won't surrender," I said, meaning it. Not anymore. Something shifted in his face. Pride, maybe, or relief. His hand lifted like he might touch my cheek, then fell away. Always that restraint. That careful distance he maintained even when every atom between us was screaming to collapse the space. "Good," he said simply. "Now let's talk about what happens if I don't make it out." The words landed like ice water. "Vincent, Dominic knows how I think. He taught me. If this is a trap, there's a non-zero chance he's better prepared than I am. You need contingencies." He pulled out his phone, showed me a series of contacts, names I didn't recognize, numbers without context. "These people owe me debts. Significant ones. If something happens to me, you call them. They'll protect you and Emma until you can disappear. New identities, offshore accounts, everything you need to vanish completely." I stared at the phone, at Vincent's careful insurance policy that treated his own death as a logistical problem to be solved. "I don't want to disappear," I said. "I want to end this. You might not get that choice. Then we make sure you survive." Our eyes met, held. Something passed between us, a promise, maybe, or a prayer. Vincent's jaw tightened, and I watched him wrestle with words he didn't know how to say. Finally, "If I don't walk out of this meeting, if Dominic kills me, promise me something." "Don't." "Promise me you'll take the escape route, that you won't try to avenge me or finish this yourself, that you'll take Emma and run and build a life somewhere he can't find you. Promise me, Lily." The use of my name, rare, deliberate, made it impossible to refuse. I nodded, throat tight. I promise. Liar, whispered my heart, but Vincent seemed satisfied. He handed me the phone, our fingers brushing in the exchange. Neither of us pulled away. We leave in 2 hours, he said. Try to rest. Rest. As if sleep were possible when the architecture of my entire life had just been revealed as fiction. As if I could close my eyes and not see my father's face, gaunt with cancer, desperate with secrets, orchestrating protection that became a curse. I went back to my room, sat on the floor with my back against the bed, my new position of choice when the walls felt too close. My phone sat beside me, silent and accusing. I hadn't called Emma since moving to the estate, hadn't wanted to explain where I was or why, hadn't wanted to lie to the one person I'd always told the truth. I called her now. She answered on the third ring, breathless. Lily? Oh my God, where have you been? The hospital called and said my surgery's tomorrow and all the bills are paid and I don't understand what's happening. I said, and my voice cracked. I need to tell you something. I told her everything. About the debt, about Vincent, about our father's testimony and the target it painted on both our backs. I told her about Dominic Ross and the surveillance photos and the meeting we were walking into in less than 2 hours. Emma was silent for so long I thought the call had dropped. Then, Dad did that. Our dad. He was trying to protect us. He made us targets. Lily, Jesus, he recorded criminals and thought what? That we'd be fine. That they wouldn't come after his family? The anger in her voice mirrored my own. The rage I'd been swallowing since Vincent told me the truth. Our father hadn't been a hero. He'd been a desperate yet dying man who made catastrophic choices and left his daughters to pay the bill. I know, I said quietly. I'm so angry at him, but he's dead, and we're alive, and I'm going to keep us that way. By walking into a meeting with the man who wants to kill you. By ending this. Once and for all. Lily, no, just run. Take Vincent's escape plan and get out. I don't need the surgery if it costs your life. Yes, you do. I interrupted fiercely. You need that surgery, and you're going to get it, and you're going to live and go to college and have everything Dad wanted for you. That's not negotiable. Emma's breath hitched. When she spoke again, her voice was small, young, the little sister I'd raised after Mom left. Please don't die. I won't. I promise. Another lie. I was collecting them like debts. These promises I might not be able to keep. We said goodbye. Not forever. Never forever. Just until tomorrow when she'd wake up in a hospital and I'd be... where? Alive? Dead? Somewhere between. I ended the call, pressed my forehead to my knees. Let myself feel the full weight of my father's choices and my own. The through line was clear now. Thomas Chen had recorded testimony to protect his daughters. Vincent Marchetti was walking into danger to protect me. I was learning to shoot to protect Emma. We were all caught in this endless cycle of protection that looked a lot like destruction, and I didn't know how to break it. A knock at my door, Vincent in when I opened it, wearing all black. Tactical gear that made him look less like a businessman and more like what he really was. A weapon, dressed for war. It's time, he said. I nodded. Started to follow him. He caught my wrist. Gently. Nothing like Marco. Everything intentional and careful. Lily, if this goes wrong, if we don't, we will, I said, cutting him off before he could finish the thought. If we don't, he continued, his grip tightening slightly, I need you to know something. Meeting you, protecting you, watching you refuse to break no matter how much pressure the world applied. It reminded me why I got into this in the first place. Not the power, not the money, the protection, keeping the wolves away from people who deserve better than teeth. His thumb traced a circle on my inner wrist over my pulse. Could he feel how fast my heart was racing? You made me remember I used to be human, he said quietly. Before Dominic, before all of this. You made me want to be that again. I should have pulled away, should have maintained the distance that kept us safe from whatever this was becoming. Instead, I stepped closer, close enough that I had to tilt my head back to meet his eyes. Then stay human, I said. Stay alive. Come back. His free hand lifted, cupped my face. His thumb brushed my cheekbone. That same gesture from the warehouse, from his office, the touch that unmade me every time. "I'll try," he promised. Then he stepped back, releasing me. The loss of contact felt physical, a cold space where warmth had been. We walked to the car in silence, surrounded by Vincent's men, 6 of them, armed and alert. I recognized some from the estate. Others were new, brought in specifically for this, my own private army, mobilized to keep me breathing. The drive took 30 minutes. Industrial district again. Dominic apparently had a type. Abandoned factory this time. All broken windows and rusted machinery. The kind of place where screams got swallowed by emptiness. Vincent's hand found mine in the back seat, squeezed once. Then we were moving, surrounded by guards, walking into the belly of whatever beast Dominic had prepared for us. The factory floor was vast and empty except for a single circle of light in the center. And standing in that light, looking exactly like he belonged there. Dominic Ross. He was older than I expected. 60, maybe. With silver hair and a face that might have been handsome before cruelty carved it into something else. He wore an expensive suit, smiled like he was hosting a dinner party instead of whatever this was. "Vincent," he said warmly, like greeting an old friend. "You brought her. Good. I was worried you'd be predictably noble and come alone. What do you want, Dominic?" Vincent's voice was flat, empty of everything except controlled violence. "What I've always wanted. For you to understand what you took from me." Dominic's eyes slid to me, assessed, found me lacking in some fundamental way. "She's pretty," he said conversationally. "I see why you're attached. Very similar to, what was her name? The girl from Boston? The one who died in the fire?" Vincent went very, very still beside me. Whatever Dominic had just referenced landed like a blade between ribs. I felt Vincent's hand tighten on mine, saw his jaw clench, watched him fight for control. "That's ancient history," Vincent said carefully. "Is it? Because from where I'm standing, you have a type. Blonde, vulnerable, in need of saving. You collect broken birds, Vincent. You couldn't save Sarah, so you're trying to save this one. How's that working out?" I had no idea who Sarah was, had never heard Vincent mention her. But I felt the wound Dominic had just opened, saw blood in the water even if I couldn't see the source. "You wanted a meeting," Vincent said, his voice deadly quiet. "We're here. Talk." Dominic smiled, gestured to someone I hadn't noticed in the shadows. A man stepped forward carrying a laptop, set it on a crate, opened it. "Your father's testimony," Dominic said, looking at me. "The one everyone's been searching for. I have it. All of it. Every name, every transaction, every piece of evidence Thomas Chen collected before he died." The screen flickered to life. My father's face appeared, younger, healthier than I remembered. Before the cancer hollowed him out, he was sitting in our old apartment, camera angled awkwardly, clearly recording himself. His voice, when he spoke, cracked something inside me. "If you're watching this, it means I'm dead. And it means my daughters are in danger. Everything I recorded, everyone I named, it was to buy you safety, to give you leverage if they came after you. Lily, Emma, I'm so sorry. I thought I was protecting you. I was just passing you a loaded gun." The recording cut to files, pages and pages of evidence, names I recognized from news reports, from whispered conversations between Vincent's men, financial records that would destroy empires, testimony that would send dozens of powerful men to prison for decades. My father had recorded everything, and Dominic had it all. "Here's the deal," Dominic said, closing the laptop with a soft click. "I give you this evidence, all of it. No copies, no insurance policies. You and Lily walk away clean. The FBI gets nothing. Your father's legacy doesn't destroy you." "In exchange for what?" Vincent asked, though we both knew there was always an exchange. "Your empire. Everything you've built since you put those bullets in my chest. Every business, every asset, every man who answers to you, you transfer it to me. You walk away with nothing, just your life and hers." The silence was absolute. I felt Vincent calculating, weighing options, running scenarios. Dominic was offering freedom, at the cost of everything Vincent had built. everyone who depended on him, all the power he'd accumulated in 15 years. You have 24 hours to decide, Dominic continued. After that, the evidence goes to the FBI. With a special addendum explaining how Lily Chen has been your accomplice for months, how she knew about her father's files and used them to blackmail you into protecting her. I'll destroy you both. He smiled. It didn't reach his eyes. Your choice, Vincent. Save her and lose everything, or save your empire and watch her burn. Then he was gone. Just like that. Disappeared into the shadows with his laptop and his men, leaving us standing in the circle of light like actors on an empty stage. Vincent's hand was still in mine. I felt him trembling, actually trembling with suppressed rage. He's lying, I said. He won't give up the evidence even if you surrender everything. He'll use it anyway. I know. So what do we do? Vincent turned to look at me. His eyes were black holes, everything human swallowed by something colder. This was the man who'd put 2 bullets in his mentor's chest, the man who'd built an empire on calculated violence. We do what I should have done 3 years ago, he said quietly. We make sure he's actually dead this time. We drove back to the estate in silence. My mind was racing, trying to process everything. My father's testimony, Dominic's ultimatum, the girl named Sarah that Vincent couldn't save, the impossible choice Dominic had constructed, Vincent's empire or my life. Back in the estate, Vincent disappeared into his office. I followed. Who was Sarah? I asked. He froze at his desk, back to me. For a long moment, he didn't answer. Then, someone I failed. Vincent, she was 19, I was 25. Back when I was just starting, when Dominic was teaching me the business, she witnessed a murder. Wrong place, wrong time. Dominic wanted to kill her. I convinced him I could control her, keep her quiet. I promised I'd protect her. His voice was hollow, reciting facts like reading from a script. Dominic agreed. As a test, to see if I had what it took to manage loose ends without violence. For 6 months, I protected her, kept her safe, made her trust me. And then Dominic decided the test was over, set fire to her apartment, made it look like an accident. She died because I made her believe I could save her. Understanding crashed over me. Sarah wasn't just a failure, she was the template. The reason Vincent had bought my file, manipulated me into his protection, he was trying to rewrite history, to save me the way he couldn't save her. I'm not her, I said quietly. I know. And this isn't the same situation, isn't it? He turned to face me finally. Another vulnerable woman, another impossible situation, another mentor trying to teach me that mercy is weakness. Only this time, I have more to lose, and that makes me more dangerous. He moved closer, stopped just short of touching me. His eyes searched my face like he was trying to memorize it. I won't let him kill you, Lily. I don't care what it costs. Not my empire, not my life, not my soul. I won't watch another woman die because I promised protection I couldn't deliver. So we find another way, I said. My phone rang. Unknown number. I looked at Vincent. He nodded. I answered. Hello? Lily Chen, a computerized voice said. We have your sister. If you want to see her alive, you'll come alone to the address I'm about to text you. No Vincent, no guards, no weapons, 1 hour. Deviate from these instructions and we send Vincent a video of what we do to 16-year-old girls who get caught in their sister's mess. The line went dead. My phone buzzed with an address. My legs gave out. Vincent caught me, held me up, his face draining of color as I told him what the voice had said. Emma? They had Emma? The one person I'd been trying to protect through all of this. The reason I'd accepted Vincent's deal, signed my freedom away, walked into his dangerous world, and Dominic had her. It's a trap, Vincent said, his voice tight with barely controlled panic. He's using her to separate us. We can't. I have to go, I interrupted. Vincent, I have to. She's 16. She's innocent. I know, he said, pulling me close, his heart hammering against my cheek. I know. We'll get her back. But not like this. Not by giving Dominic exactly what he wants. Then how? He was quiet, thinking, calculating. Then his eyes met mine, and I saw it. The decision forming, the terrible choice he was making. We give him what he thinks he wants, Vincent said slowly. We walk into his trap, but we spring one of our own. He pulled out his phone, started making calls. Within 10 minutes, the estate was mobilizing. Men arming themselves, vehicles being prepped, a plan forming that Vincent didn't fully explain because he knew I'd try to stop him. As we prepared to leave, Vincent caught my hand one last time. I need you to understand something, he said. If it comes down to saving you or saving Emma, I'm choosing you. Every time. That makes me a monster. But it's the truth. No, I said fiercely. We save her. Whatever it takes. Even if I couldn't finish. Couldn't say even if it costs your life. Or even if it costs your empire because the words were too big. Too final. Vincent kissed my forehead. Just that. A gesture so gentle it broke something inside me. Let's go save your sister, he said. As we walked to the cars, my phone buzzed again. Not a call this time. A video file against every instinct. I opened it. Emma, tied to a chair, tear-streaked face. Dominic's voice off camera, sickeningly cheerful. Tell your sister what I told you, Emma. About the fire. About Sarah. About how Vincent's protection is really just a death sentence with better furniture. Emma's voice, small and terrified. Lily, he says Dad didn't die from cancer. He says Dominic poisoned him. Made him sick so he'd be desperate enough to testify. He says Dad was never trying to protect us. He was trying to fix what Dominic broke. And he says Vincent knew, that Vincent's known the whole time and never told you. The video ended. I looked at Vincent. He'd gone pale as death. His mouth opened, closed. No explanation came. Vincent, I said slowly, ice forming in my chest. Tell me that's not true. The silence was answer enough. You knew Dominic killed my father. You knew and you never told me. It was complicated. My father died thinking he'd failed us. Died believing his cancer was random bad luck. And you let me believe that too. For weeks. While I trusted you. While I couldn't finish. Couldn't name what I'd been feeling. What had been growing between us in quiet moments and careful touches. Whatever it was, Dominic had just poisoned it the same way he'd poisoned my father. We'll talk about this after, Vincent said, his voice rough. After we get Emma back. After we end Dominic. Then I'll tell you everything. But right now, we need to move. He was right. Emma was the priority. But as we drove toward whatever trap Dominic had prepared, all I could think was, how many more lies? How many more truths hiding behind omissions? How much of my life has been orchestrated by men who think they know better than I do what I can handle? And underneath that, quieter, more dangerous. What else hasn't Vincent told me? The address led to the docks. Of course it did. Where this had started in the warehouse, where Dominic had died in the harbor 3 years ago. Full circle, poetic, inevitable. Vincent's men surrounded the building. He handed me a gun, the same one he'd taught me to shoot. Stay behind me, he said. Whatever happens, stay behind me. We entered together. The building was empty except for one room at the end, light spilling under the door. I could hear voices. Emma crying. Vincent kicked the door open and stopped because Emma wasn't tied to a chair. She was standing next to Dominic, unharmed, smiling. Surprise, she said, and her voice was different, harder, older. Not my baby sister anymore, if she'd ever been. I'm so sorry, Lily, Emma continued. And she did sound sorry. Almost. But Dad's testimony is worth millions, and Dominic offered me half if I helped him get to you. I couldn't pass that up. You understand, right? You've been making sacrifices for me my whole life. Time for me to make one for myself. The world tilted, stopped making sense. My sister, my Emma, who I'd worked 3 jobs for, who I'd sold my freedom for, who I'd walked into hell for. She'd been working with Dominic all along. Vincent's hand found mine, squeezed, the only solid thing in a universe that had just shattered. Emma, I said, my voice breaking, you don't mean this. He's manipulating you. No one's manipulating me, she said. I made a choice, just like Dad did, just like you did. We're all just trying to survive, Lily. I'm just better at it than you thought. Dominic put his hand on Emma's shoulder. Proprietary, victorious. Vincent, he said pleasantly, I believe we have some business to conclude. Your empire. In exchange for the evidence. And maybe, if you're very good, I'll let Lily live long enough to understand how completely I've destroyed everything she loves. Vincent raised his gun, pointed it at Dominic. Emma didn't flinch, just looked at me with eyes I didn't recognize anymore. Choose, Dominic said. Your empire or your girl, but choose fast. Because I've got men positioned at 3 hospitals, 2 FBI field offices, and 1 little girls' school in Oregon. Say the word, and they all get the evidence. Say the other word, and maybe some of them get to live. Vincent's hand was steady on the gun, but I felt him shaking beside me. Felt the impossible mathematics of the choice Dominic had constructed. And I realized there was only one way out of this. Only one person who could end it. Me. I moved before thought could stop me. 3 steps forward, putting myself between Vincent's gun and Dominic. Between the man who'd lied to protect me and the man who'd destroyed everything I loved. Between past and future, truth and survival. No, I said, my voice steadier than my hands. Nobody shoots anybody. Not yet. Lily, move. Vincent's voice was tight, controlled panic bleeding through his usual composure. Emma, I said, ignoring him, focusing on my sister. Was she still my sister? Standing beside our father's murderer like she belonged there? Tell me one true thing. Just one. Before this all ends, did you ever actually need the surgery? Something flickered across her face. Guilt, maybe. Or the memory of who she used to be before Dominic Ross taught her that survival meant betrayal. Yes, she said quietly. The heart condition is real. But the timing, Dominic helped me understand that desperate situations create opportunities. You were already drowning trying to save me. He just showed me how to use that. The words landed like physical blows. Every extra shift I'd worked. Every meal I'd skipped to add another $20 to the surgery fund. Every exhausted morning I dragged myself to the estate to scrub blood from marble floors. All of it, weaponized, turned into the architecture of my own destruction. How long? My voice cracked. How long have you been working with him? Since Dad died, Emma admitted. Dominic found me at the funeral. Told me what Dad had really done. Offered me a choice. Be a victim of Dad's mistakes, or profit from them. I chose profit. 3 years. My baby sister had been lying to me for 3 years. Every conversation, every tear, every moment I'd thought we were in this together, performance, strategy, bait. I did love you, Emma said, and I hated that I could hear truth in it. I still do. But love doesn't pay for college. It doesn't buy freedom. You taught me that, Lily. All those years watching you sacrifice everything for me. I learned, just not the lesson you meant to teach. Vincent's hand found the small of my back, steadying me, reminding me I wasn't alone even as my entire family revealed itself as fiction. Enough family reunion, Dominic said, his patience wearing thin. Vincent? The Empire? Now? Or I make one phone call and the FBI gets everything. Your choice. I watched Vincent's face, saw the calculation happening behind his eyes. He was running scenarios, weighing options, trying to find the move that saved everyone. But there wasn't one. Dominic had constructed this trap too carefully. Unless we changed the game. What if I testify? I said suddenly. Not the evidence Dad recorded. Me against Dominic. For murdering my father. For kidnapping. Extortion. Conspiracy. Vincent has proof of all of it. Security footage. Recordings. Financial transfers. We give the FBI Dominic instead of you. Dominic laughed. Actually laughed. The sound echoing through the empty warehouse. With what credibility, sweetheart? You've been living in Vincent Marchetti's estate for weeks. You're his lover. I'm not. Please. I have surveillance footage that says otherwise. Every longing look, every careful touch, every moment you've let him into your bed. He's never been in my bed, I said, though the words felt like admitting defeat. Because the truth was more complicated. Vincent had been in my thoughts, my fears, my desperate hope for something beyond survival. That was more intimate than any physical touch. Doesn't matter what's true, Dominic continued. Only what I can prove. And I can prove you're compromised. A defense attorney would tear you apart in 30 seconds. Your testimony is worthless. He was right. I knew it. Vincent knew it. The trap was perfect because it used truth as its walls. Vincent had manipulated me into his protection. I had developed feelings for my protector. Any testimony I gave would be dismissed as Stockholm Syndrome or calculated self-preservation. So we're back to the original deal, Dominic said, his smile widening. Your empire, Vincent. Everything you've built. Sign it over, and maybe. I let Lily walk away with her life and her sister's betrayal as the only wounds she has to heal. Vincent's jaw clenched. I felt the war happening inside him. 15 years of building power versus 3 months of knowing me. His empire versus my life. Everything he'd become versus the man he'd been before Dominic taught him that mercy was weakness. If I give you everything, I said to Dominic, my mind racing. What happens to Vincent? What do you think happens? Dominic's voice went cold. He killed me once, or tried to. You think I'm going to let him walk away with his life? The empire is payment for letting you live. Vincent's debt is paid in blood. No, I said immediately. New deal. I'll disappear. You get your revenge. Vincent loses everything he cares about, loses me, but you let him live. Let him rebuild somewhere you'll never touch him. You get his empire and his heartbreak. Isn't that better than a bullet? Vincent's hand tightened on my back. Lily, don't. It's the only way, I said. Not looking at him because if I looked, I'd lose my nerve. You keep your life. I keep mine. Dominic gets everything he wanted. Emma gets her blood money. Everyone walks away. The silence stretched. Dominic studied me with new interest, like I'd just become something more than a pawn. You'd do that. Give up your protector. Walk away from the man you've been falling in love with? I'm not. Yes, you are. Dominic interrupted gently, almost kindly. I recognize the look. I've seen it before. On Sarah's face, right before the fire. That specific combination of hope and terror. Loving Vincent Marchetti is a terminal diagnosis, sweetheart. I'd be doing you a favor. Then do it, I said. Let me walk away. Let him live. Take your empire and your revenge and let us both survive with the damage you've already done. Please. The please cost me something. Felt like swallowing broken glass. But I saw Dominic's expression shift. Saw him considering it. The idea of Vincent living but broken, stripped of power, tormented by the knowledge that I'd sacrificed my protection to save his life. That was a revenge Dominic could savor for decades. Interesting, he murmured. The girl negotiates. Vincent, you've taught her better than you taught Sarah. She might actually survive this. Don't make this deal, Vincent said, his voice rough with something that sounded like grief. Lily, don't do this. Let me handle. You can't handle this, I interrupted, finally turning to look at him. Not without losing everything or dying. So I'm choosing a third option. I'm choosing both of us alive in different corners of the world. That's enough. Our eyes met. Held. In his face, I saw everything we'd never said. All the careful distance we'd maintained even as we'd circled closer and closer to something that felt inevitable. Protection had become partnership. Partnership had become something neither of us knew how to name. And now I was cutting it off before it could fully form. Maybe that was mercy. Or maybe it was just another sacrifice in a long line of them. Fine, Dominic said, clearly delighted by the turn this had taken. We have a deal. Vincent signs over his empire. You disappear, and I mean disappear. New identity, new life, zero contact with Vincent forever. He gets to live with the knowledge that you saved him and he couldn't save you. Poetic. And Emma? I asked, looking at my sister one last time. What happens to her? She gets her money and her life, Dominic said. Unlike you, she was smart enough to pick the winning side. Emma wouldn't meet my eyes. Good. I didn't want to see whatever justification she'd constructed for this. Didn't want to hear how she'd convinced herself that survival excused betrayal. Papers are in my car, Dominic said to Vincent. You have 5 minutes to decide if you're signing away your life's work or watching Lily die. Choose wisely. Vincent's men were positioned outside, I knew, armed and ready. He could start a war right now, could try to shoot his way out of this, but Dominic would have prepared for that. The evidence would still reach the FBI. People would still die, and I'd still be caught in the crossfire of someone else's revenge. I'll sign, Vincent said, his voice hollow. On one condition. You're not in a position to negotiate, Dominic said. One condition? Vincent repeated, each word careful and deliberate. After Lily leaves, you give me 5 minutes alone with Emma. I won't hurt her, but she and I need to have a conversation about the price of the choice she's made. Emma's face went pale. Dominic considered this, then shrugged. Fine. 5 minutes. Then you leave too, Vincent. No empire, no power, no coming back. You get your life and your regrets. That's the deal. Vincent nodded once. Precise. Final. The man who'd built an empire from violence and calculation had just agreed to dismantle it for a woman he'd known 3 months. The weight of that choice pressed against my ribs like a physical thing. Dominic's men brought papers. Vincent signed them without reading, his signature a slash of black ink that severed 15 years of building power. With each page, I watched him unmake himself. Watched the Mafia boss dissolve, leaving behind just a man named Vincent who'd tried to save someone and failed. Lily, Dominic said when the last page was signed. Time to go. Your new identity papers are waiting. Cash, passport, everything you need to vanish. I'm almost impressed by your survival instinct. 1 minute, I said. Give me 1 minute with Vincent, then I'll go. Dominic waved his hand, generous in victory. Vincent and I walked to the far corner of the warehouse, out of earshot but still visible. His men and Dominic's watched like we were theater, entertainment for their violent world. You shouldn't have done this, Vincent said quietly. I had other options. I could have... You would have died, I interrupted. Or spent the rest of your life in prison. This was the only way we both survive. Survival isn't the same as living. The words hung between us, true and terrible. His hand lifted to my face. That gesture again, the one that unmade me every time. Thumb brushing my cheekbone like he was trying to memorize the architecture of my bones. I was going to tell you, he said. About Sarah, about your father, all of it. After we dealt with Dominic, I didn't want secrets between us anymore. I know. Do you? Because you're looking at me like you're not sure who I am anymore. I studied his face, the sharp angles and dark eyes that had terrified me once. Now they just looked tired, human, breakable in ways I'd never noticed before. I know exactly who you are, I said. You're the man who bought my safety and called it protection, who manipulated me into your world and called it necessity, who lied to me about my father and called it mercy. And you're also the man who taught me to shoot because you wanted me to survive even if you didn't, who held me in the warehouse and made me feel safe for the first time in years, who just signed away everything you built because you couldn't watch me die. My voice cracked. His thumb caught the tear I hadn't realized had fallen. You're complicated, Vincent Marchetti. You're dangerous and damaged, and you've made terrible choices. But you're also the reason I'm standing here instead of dead in a warehouse. So I know exactly who you are, and I'm still choosing to save you. Lily, don't, I interrupted, stepping back before I could change my mind. Don't make this harder. We get to live. Both of us. That's more than most people in your world get. Take it. Build something new. Become who you were before Dominic broke you. And you? What do you become? I thought about that. About Emma's betrayal and my father's lies and 3 months of learning that protection and control were often the same thing wearing different masks. About who I'd been when I walked into Vincent's estate. Invisible, struggling, desperate. And who I was now, standing in a warehouse negotiating my own survival, carrying a gun I knew how to use, loving a dangerous man enough to let him go. I become someone who survives, I said. Someone who keeps fighting. Someone braver than my father, smarter than my sister, and maybe, if I'm very lucky, someone who learns that love doesn't always mean sacrifice. Vincent pulled me close then, one arm around my waist, the other hand cradling my head against his chest. I felt his heart hammering, felt him shaking slightly, felt the careful control he maintained even now starting to fracture. If you ever need me, he said against my hair. If you're ever in danger. if Dominic or anyone else comes after you, I'll find you. No matter how far you run, no matter what name you're using, I'll find you. And I'll burn down whatever threatens you. That's a promise, Lily Chen. Or whoever you become. I know, I whispered. And if you ever want to be found, leave a sign. Anything. I'll be looking. He released me then, stepped back, put the careful distance between us one last time. His face had gone blank again, the Mafia boss mask sliding back into place even though he'd just signed away the empire that mask protected. Go, he said. Before I change my mind about letting you walk away. I walked. Every step felt like tearing away skin, leaving pieces of myself scattered across the warehouse floor. But I walked. Past Dominic's, who smiled his predator smile. Past Emma, who finally looked at me with something that might have been regret. Past Vincent's men, who watched their boss lose everything for a woman they barely knew. At the door, I looked back once. Vincent was talking to Emma, his posture rigid, his face carved from stone. Whatever he was saying made her face crumble. Good. She should know the cost of the choice she'd made. Then Dominic's man was there, leading me to a car, handing me an envelope thick with cash and documents. A new name. Sarah Mitchell, Vincent's dead girlfriend. Dominic's final cruelty, making me become the woman Vincent had failed to save. The car pulled away. Through the tinted windows, I watched the warehouse disappear, watched Vincent's empire vanish with it, watched the last 3 months dissolve like they'd never happened. I opened the envelope with shaking hands. New passport, new birth certificate, new life, $20,000 in cash, a phone number for emergencies, an address in Portland, far from New York, far from Vincent, far from everything. The phone in the envelope buzzed. A text from a number I didn't recognize. Emma won't be a problem anymore. She'll live, but she'll remember what betrayal costs. Build something good, Lily. You deserve more than survival. V. I stared at the message until it blurred. Deleted it. Threw the phone out the window because I didn't trust myself not to call him, not to turn around and go back and choose different. 3 months ago, I'd been invisible. A girl scrubbing floors and saving for a sister who'd been playing me the whole time. Now I was Sarah Mitchell, ghost of a dead woman, carrying the weight of a dangerous man's love and the knowledge that sometimes the only way to save someone is to walk away. The car drove through the night, toward Portland, toward whatever came next. I pressed my hand against the window, watching New York's lights fade to black. And I let myself cry for the life I'd almost had, for the man I'd almost loved, for the version of myself who'd thought protection and love could ever be the same thing. By the time we reached Portland, I'd stopped crying, wiped my face, become Sarah Mitchell, survivor, alone, free. It would have to be enough. Portland smelled like rain and coffee and the particular loneliness of starting over in a city where no one knows your real name. I found work at a bookstore in the Pearl District, the kind of place with exposed brick and customers who spent 20 minutes deciding between 2 identical editions of Hemingway. The owner, Margaret, was 60, and asked no questions when I showed her Sarah Mitchell's immaculate fake credentials. She just nodded, handed me an apron, and said, "You look like someone who needs quiet work." She was right. For 3 weeks, I shelved books and made recommendations and learned to answer to Sarah without flinching. I rented a studio apartment above a Thai restaurant, bought furniture from Goodwill, built a life from spare parts and determination and the carefully managed grief of having walked away from the only person who'd made me feel seen. I didn't contact Emma, didn't check news about Vincent's empire changing hands, didn't allow myself to wonder if he was alive, rebuilding, thinking about me the way I thought about him in the dangerous hours between midnight and dawn when sleep wouldn't come. I was surviving, just like I'd promised. Then everything shattered on a Tuesday. I was restocking the mystery section when my phone buzzed, the new one I'd bought, the number only Margaret knew. The text was from an unknown contact, but the words made my blood freeze. Your sister lied about more than her loyalty. Check your father's storage unit. Unit 247. The code is Emma's birthday. What you find there changes everything. You have 48 hours before Dominic discovers it's missing. A friend. My hands shook. This was a trap. Had to be. Dominic testing whether Sarah Mitchell would break character, whether I'd risk exposure for information about a dead man, But what if it wasn't? I called in sick. Took a bus to the storage facility on the outskirts of the city where my father had kept a unit I'd almost forgotten existed. The code worked. Inside, boxes of my childhood, Christmas decorations, my mother's wedding dress, and at the back, hidden behind everything, a safe. The combination was my birthday. Of course it was. Inside, I found two things: a recording device and a letter in my father's handwriting, dated 1 week before he died. I sat on the concrete floor and pressed play. My father's voice, weak but clear. "Lily Bug, if you're hearing this, I'm gone. And everything Dominic told you is a lie. I didn't record testimony against him. I recorded something worse, proof that he's been working with federal agents for 20 years. That every criminal he's ever betrayed was actually competition he needed eliminated. Dominic Ross isn't a crime lord. He's an FBI asset who got too comfortable playing both sides." The recording continued, detailing bank accounts, handler names, operations Dominic had sabotaged while pretending to be a target. My father had discovered the truth by accident and knew it was a death sentence. "The cancer wasn't random," my father's voice continued. "Dominic poisoned me slowly, over months, making it look natural. But I outsmarted him. I made copies of everything and hid them where he'd never look, in the one place connected to you he couldn't access without exposing himself. I'm sorry, sweetheart. I tried to protect you by dying quietly. But if you're listening to this, it means you're in danger anyway. Use this. Destroy him. Be braver than I was." The recording ended. I sat in the silence, my father's final gift heavy in my hands. This wasn't just evidence. It was a nuclear weapon. Proof that the FBI had been complicit in Dominic's crimes for decades. That Vincent had never been the real monster in this story. My phone rang. Unknown number. I answered without thinking. "You found it," Vincent's voice said, and my heart stopped. "Good. I wasn't sure the message would reach you." "You sent that text?" "I've been tracking Dominic since I left New York, trying to understand how he survived my bullets, how he built his network. 3 days ago, I discovered the FBI connection. Realized your father must have found it too. That's why Dominic killed him." "Vincent, if the FBI finds out—" "They already know I know," he interrupted. "I made sure of it. Sent copies to 3 journalists, 2 congressional oversight committees, and every crime boss Dominic ever betrayed. By tomorrow morning, he won't have anywhere to hide. Not from the criminals he sold out or the government he compromised." I closed my eyes. "You started a war. I ended one. There's a difference. Where are you?" The pause stretched too long. When Vincent spoke again, his voice was different, tired, almost vulnerable. 2 blocks from your apartment. I've been here for a week, making sure you were safe before I burned Dominic's world down. I promised I'd find you, Lily. I keep my promises." My breath caught. "You shouldn't have come." "Probably not. But I needed to see you were okay, that Sarah Mitchell was building something good, that you were more than surviving. And what did you see?" "I saw you smile at a customer this morning. Really smile. Not the careful version you used at the estate. I saw you reading in the park during your lunch break. I saw you living. It was enough." The crack in his voice unmade me. Vincent Marchetti, who'd built empires and destroyed enemies, sounded lost, human, breakable. "It's not enough," I said quietly. "It's lonely and careful, and I'm pretending to be a dead woman. That's not living, Vincent. That's haunting." "Then stop." The words landed like a dare, like permission I'd been waiting for. "I'm bringing Dominic down in the next 48 hours, Vincent continued. "When the evidence goes public, the deal he made with you becomes void. You can be Lily Chen again. You can go home." "What home?" "Emma betrayed me. My father's dead. The estate was never mine." "No, but I am." The declaration hung between us, raw and honest and terrifying. I gripped the phone harder, my father's recording still warm in my other hand. "Vincent, I rebuilt," he interrupted. "Nothing like what I had before, but enough. Legitimate businesses, clean money, a life that doesn't require violence. I did what you told me to. Became who I was before Dominic. And every day I wake up in that new life and think, this would be better if Lily was in it. Tears burned my throat. You can't just... We walked away. We chose survival over what? Say it. Over us. The admission cost me everything. Felt like standing naked in winter. But Vincent's exhale through the phone sounded like relief. Like he'd been holding his breath for 3 weeks, waiting for me to admit what we'd both been pretending didn't exist. Come find me, he said. Right now. Walk 2 blocks east. I'm at the coffee shop on the corner. I'll wait 1 hour. If you don't come, I'll disappear again. I'll finish Dominic and leave you to your bookstore and your quiet life. But if you do come, we figure this out together. Build something that's ours instead of something we're running from. That's not fair. Life's not fair, Lily. But we're alive. We survived Dominic's trap and your sister's betrayal and every lie we told ourselves about what this was. That's got to count for something. The line went dead. I sat in the storage unit, surrounded by my father's secrets and my own history, holding evidence that could destroy the man who destroyed my family. And I had a choice. The same choice I'd been making since the night Vincent walked into his kitchen and saw Marco's hand on my wrist. The choice between safety and truth. Between surviving and living. Between walking away from danger or toward the one person who'd made danger feel like home. I stood, locked the storage unit, put my father's recording in my bag where it pressed against my ribs like a heartbeat, started walking east through Portland rain, toward a coffee shop and a man I'd tried so hard to forget. 2 blocks had never felt so long. Every step was a negotiation with myself. Turn back, keep walking, choose safety, choose him, choose. I saw him through the coffee shop window before he saw me. Vincent Marchetti in jeans and a jacket, looking almost normal except for the way he held himself. That careful awareness of every exit, every threat, every possibility. He was reading something on his phone, frowning slightly, and my heart did something complicated in my chest. He looked up. Our eyes met through rain-streaked glass. Neither of us moved for 3 heartbeats. Then he stood, and I understood. This was it. The moment everything either ended or began. I pushed open the door. The coffee shop smelled like espresso and rain-soaked wool. Vincent stood when I entered, and for a moment we just looked at each other. 2 people who'd walked away from everything and somehow ended up here, in a Portland cafe with the weight of 3 weeks of silence between us. You came, he said, and his voice held something I'd never heard before. Relief. Pure, unguarded relief. I almost didn't. But you did. I sat across from him, the small table a DMZ between our careful distance and whatever this was becoming. He looked different, lighter somehow, despite the shadows under his eyes. The expensive suit was gone, replaced by worn jeans and a canvas jacket. He could have been anyone, a teacher, an architect, just a man drinking coffee on a Tuesday afternoon. Except for his eyes. Those were still Vincent's, dark and watchful and carrying the weight of every choice he'd ever made. Tell me about the evidence, I said, because starting with business felt safer than starting with us. He pulled out his phone, showed me a folder of documents. My father's recording matched against FBI internal communications, financial transfers, operational reports, the full scope of Dominic's double life, meticulously documented. It goes public tomorrow morning, Vincent said, simultaneously across 5 major outlets. By noon, Dominic will be arrested. By evening, his FBI handlers will be scrambling to contain the damage. By next week, congressional hearings will begin. And you? What happens to you when this breaks? Nothing. I'm already dead in that world. Vincent Marchetti no longer exists in any database that matters. I'm just a civilian with information about government corruption. They can't touch me without admitting what Dominic was. The careful planning shouldn't have surprised me. Vincent had always been 3 moves ahead, always calculating angles before anyone else saw the board. But this time, the strategy wasn't about power or empire. It was about freedom. For both of us. Emma, I said quietly. What did you do to her? Vincent's expression darkened. I told her exactly what her choice cost. Not just you, but herself. That Dominic would never let her keep the money, never let her live peacefully with what she knew. That she'd traded her sister's love for a death sentence wrapped in cash. Is she safe? She's alive. Working minimum wage in Chicago under a new name. Dominic's money disappeared the moment I accessed his accounts. She got to keep her life. Nothing else. The justice of it satisfied something dark in me. Emma had chosen betrayal. Now she was learning what I'd always known, that survival without love is just slow dying with better scenery. And you? I asked, studying his face. What did you do with Dominic's empire? Dismantled it. Sold the legitimate parts to his competitors. Destroyed the rest. Used the money to pay back everyone he'd ever hurt, or their families, if they were gone. Including a scholarship fund for a girl named Sarah, who died in a fire 15 years ago. My throat tightened. Vincent had taken his mentor's empire and turned it into restitution, into the opposite of everything Dominic had built. That took a specific kind of courage, not the violent kind, but the kind that means looking at your own history and choosing to rewrite it. Why did you really come here, Vincent? The truth this time. He was quiet for a long moment, turning his coffee cup in careful circles. When he spoke, his voice was low enough that I had to lean forward to hear. Because when I signed away everything I'd built, the only thing I felt was relief. Not loss, not anger, just relief that I didn't have to be that person anymore. And I realized, you gave me that. Permission to become someone else. Someone better. He looked up, and his eyes held mine with an intensity that made breathing difficult. I spent 3 weeks watching you build a life here. Saw you reading to children at the bookstore. Saw you help an elderly man find his wife's favorite author. Saw you exist without fear, without looking over your shoulder, without calculating every interaction for threat level. And I thought, that's who she was before I pulled her into my world. That's who she deserves to be. But, I prompted, because I heard it in his voice, the hesitation. But I also saw you were lonely, that you smiled at customers and went home to an empty apartment and ate dinner alone every night. That surviving wasn't the same as living. And I'm selfish enough to think, maybe we could do better together. Maybe two people who understand survival could figure out how to actually live. The confession settled between us. Honest and raw. Vincent Marchetti, who'd built walls around himself for decades, was tearing them down. For me, because of me, I'm scared, I admitted. Of this, of you. Of how easily I could fall back into needing your protection instead of building my own strength. Then don't need my protection. Be my partner instead. Someone who challenges me, stands beside me, tells me when I'm wrong. I don't want to save you, Lily. I want to build something with you. Partner. The word rewrote everything. Not protector and protected. Not powerful and vulnerable. Just two people who'd survived hell and chosen each other on the other side. I found something else in my father's storage unit, I said, pulling out the recording device. His real evidence. Proof of everything Dominic did. I was going to give it to you for tomorrow's release. Keep it, Vincent said immediately. That's your father's legacy. His final attempt to protect you. You decide what to do with it. The trust in that gesture broke something open in my chest. Vincent was giving me power over the very information that could change everything. Wasn't telling me what to do. Wasn't managing the situation. Just trusting me. I want to be there, I said suddenly. When the evidence goes public. When Dominic gets arrested. I want to watch him lose everything the way he made us lose everything. Vincent's expression shifted. Became something fierce and proud. Then you will be. We'll watch it together. He reached across the table. His hand open, palm up. An offering, not a demand. I stared at it. At the scars on his knuckles. The strength in his fingers. The vulnerability in the gesture. I took his hand. Our fingers interlaced. And I felt it. The click of two broken pieces finding their fit. Not fixing each other, just fitting. Creating something new from the shattered remains of who we'd been. I can't promise this will be easy, I said. I'm still angry about the lies. Still processing Emma's betrayal. Still figuring out who Lily Chen is now that she's not just surviving. I'm still figuring out who Vincent is without the empire and the violence, he said. We'll figure it out together. Make mistakes together. Build something real instead of something we're running from. The coffee shop door chimed. Vincent's attention flicked to it automatically. That awareness never quite leaving him. Then back to me. He smiled. Small and real. And I saw it. The man he could become. the man he was choosing to become. For me, with me, because of me. Tomorrow we end Dominic, I said. Then what? Then we start fresh. Build a life where I'm not a mafia boss and you're not a maid, where we're just Vincent and Lily, figuring out what comes after survival. That sounds terrifying. Good. The best things usually are. I laughed. Actually laughed, for the first time in 3 weeks. Vincent's smile widened, and something in my chest unfurled. Hope, maybe, or the beginning of it. We sat in that coffee shop until closing, hands intertwined across the table, planning tomorrow's reckoning and everything that came after. Outside, Portland rain washed the streets clean. Inside, 2 broken people started building something whole. And for the first time since my father died, since Vincent walked into his kitchen, since my sister betrayed me, I felt like I could breathe, not surviving, living, finally living. If you made it to the end of this story, let us know in the comments which city you're watching from, and click the yellow bell to subscribe to the channel and support us. Keep the adventure going by clicking on the suggested video on your screen.